If you're a college student, you have found this at the right time. You're at the perfect age where you're young enough to know if you mess up, you'll still be okay. But you're old enough to know that your future is in your hands. No one's coming to save you. No one's coming to work for you. Your dream career, that's all down to you. I was at university for 5 years. For me, that was med school. And even though I used my time wisely, I built a side hustle, made passive income, and got into self-improvement, I still felt this internal panic. Am I doing good enough? Am I on the right track? Am I gonna amount to anything? Will I achieve my goals? Am I working hard enough? Will I get to where I want to be? You know those quiet moments when you're at the library at 10 p.m. or you're alone in your room scrolling on your phone and it just kind of hits you like, am I doing enough? And if you're watching this as a person that wants to change your life, you want to build a life that's meaningful. You want to build a life that you're proud of. You don't really care about showing off or posting on LinkedIn, I'm excited to announce. You just want to build a life that you're satisfied with. If that's you, you're not alone. Because there are 5 lessons I have had to learn the hard way from 5 years at university, and I'm going to share them with you in this video. 5 lessons that can make these years not just productive, but transformational. Hey, if you're new, welcome to the cozy corner of the internet. I'm your host, Christina, and I help people stop shrinking and start living. I was catching up with one of my cousins the other day who's at university right now, and it literally took me down a trip down memory lane. Even though university was a tough time for me, the exams at med school are no joke. The competition at med school is no joke. The comparison is no joke. And knowing me, the people-pleasing, quiet, introverted girl that I was, the social life inside of things was very challenging as well. I think a common trap I see a lot of college students fall into is a double-edged sword, but the trap of self-improvement. If there's one thing I really want you to know, it's that you're not a self-improvement project. I know you desperately want to make something of your life, and it's so important to you that you achieve big goals. It's so important to you that you make a lasting impact. However, nowadays, anytime I meet someone that's extremely hardworking, intense drive and motivation, I'm like, sometimes this stems from the pain of not belonging in the past. Like, say you've grown up as someone that's been bullied, or you've been someone that's an outsider, someone that's been picked on. I'm sorry, I have a theory. I feel like this manifests later on in life as like extreme determination to build something big. Like, because you were nothing growing up and you weren't significant, you now have dreams of becoming incredibly significant. And I think a lot of us at college, naturally, you are intelligent. No matter what you're studying, if you're at college, you are intelligent. You're surrounded by other people who are all equally, if not more intelligent. Everyone's bettering themselves. You find self-improvement. You pick up atomic habits. You read the books, you listen to the podcast, you start, monitoring what you eat. You're really health conscious. You very quickly fall into the trap of thinking you need fixing. And the reason why that can be a problem is if you think you need fixing, low-key, you feel like you're broken. Self-improvement can be amazing. Self-improvement is why my channel exists. Like, a lot of my videos in some sense are self-improvement. Self-improvement is amazing and it's great and it can change your life and it will change your life. The important thing to know with your self-improvement journey is you need to know where self-improvement stops and self-criticism starts. Because I find this is where a lot of people slip up. You can easily better your sleeping habits, your eating habits, your physical body, going to the gym, learning all these things from books. This is all fine and good, but if you don't know where the line is between, do you know what? I accept myself. I am good enough. I've changed, I've improved, I'm better than I was before. I think I'm doing great. If you don't know where that stops and I'm still not good enough. I've read 12 books this month and I'm still behind. I've gone to the gym and I've lost this much weight and my muscle mass is this, but I'm still not where my body should be. If you don't know where self-improvement stops and self-criticism starts, you're going to fall down a very dark spiral. I've made a whole entire video on self-acceptance. Probably, I recommend watching that after this video. And I know self-acceptance makes you want to roll your eyes as a driven person, an accomplished person that wants to achieve big things. Self-acceptance sounds like you're going to slack behind and you're going to be, you're going to not be where you need to be. It's going to make you lazy. In my experience, as someone who's adopted self-acceptance more than self-improvement now, I actually find self-acceptance just means that you focus on the right things. Self-improvement almost gives you an attitude where you want to focus on everything. I want to improve my body and my mental state and my productivity and meditate more. Tick, 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 tick. Like, everything needs to be done. Whereas self-acceptance almost means that you have laser focus. This is what I need to focus on. It's just my business that I'm going to focus on this year, or it's just my fitness I'm going to focus on in the summertime. Like, you're a bit more laser focused when you have self-acceptance. A quote I absolutely love, I was reading it in a book the other day, is the future is already here. It's just not equally distributed. That was by a guy called William Gibson. And to me, kind of when I think about self-improvement and changing myself and improving myself, And maybe you as well. Maybe it's helpful to know like the future is already here. It's just not evenly distributed. The version of yourself that you're desperate to try and achieve as quick as possible, there's already a part of you that exists right now. It's just not evenly distributed. It's funny because I spent so much time focused on self-improvement, learning all about the body, the mind, mindset, and all these things. And I absolutely made huge leaps and bounds in that area. But one area that I absolutely neglected was like cooking. If I could give myself one lesson or tip from 24-year-old Christina to 18-year-old Christina, it would be learn to cook more. Not even learn to cook more, learn to cook better meals. Nowadays, as a doctor who's got a busy job as my 9 to 5 and then also a side hustle, in the early stages of my job, I found it really hard to make easy, quick, lunchable, like just meals you can throw in your bag and go to work that will kind of keep in the fridge or they'll keep in your bag. And recently I've started using an app called Mob. I know I've told you guys about this app before, but I'm sharing it again because it's that good. Before I started to properly learn to cook on this new app called Mob, I was literally having like toast every day or like pasta every day. It was embarrassing. Like, you know, the very stereotypical like can't cook diet, like that was my diet. Whereas nowadays, every single week I'm making something new and different. And don't get me wrong, I've got my favorites on the app. I think I showed you guys this Greek tray bake. That is one of my absolute favorites. I'll put a picture of what I made and then what the picture is so you can compare the two. But then I've also started to cook this new halloumi curry tray bake. I'm a big fan of a tray bake if you can't already tell. I've gotten into cooking so much now that it's literally like a hobby. Like before it was like a chore, like I have to meal prep, I have to get ready for the week. But now it's honestly like a fun thing that I get to do. If you want to try out Mob, they actually do a free trial. True story, I actually downloaded the free trial at Asda in the supermarket because I was like, I'm about to buy all the ingredients for the week. Let me just get the free trial now. I downloaded the app, got all the recipe ingredients, and that day I think I made my first recipe on it. And ever since then, I've genuinely been hooked. This is not even an ad, like I'm not being paid to say this. I actually just love the app so much. Whether you're vegetarian or vegan, or you want something super high protein, you want meals with like certain things in them, they cater to so many of the dietary preferences. I actually reached out to the team to ask them if they had like a discount code, and they very kindly gave me a discount code. It's Dr. Christina 5. If you guys want to get some money off your annual or monthly subscription, then highly recommend using this code. I downloaded it without a code. I paid full price, but honestly, I can highly vouch for it. It's such a good app. On the same vein of self-improvement, learning to elevate your mind, body, spirit, and cooking skills, one thing, when I think back to my university days, one thing I was really like bad at doing was like, say I had a problem, I had a bad habit of like avoiding the problem. It could be, you know, I need to speak to Sally and tell Sally how I really feel. Or it could be, you know, Jude kind of upset me and I'm, you know, crying myself to sleep because of what they said, but I never would actually address it with Jude. Whether it was friendships or it was procrastination or it was a deadline that I was like super stressed about, that I would actually just ignore it. I had this approach that let me just avoid the problem now, I'll sort it out later. And I've had to learn the hard way over the last few years that avoiding problems only makes them bigger. I know we all know this. Like, you're probably looking at me like being like, Christina, how did you not know this? Like, come on, like, who doesn't know that? We all know, but I still feel like there's all problems that we do avoid. Like, you know, you probably shouldn't be on TikTok or Instagram at 9 p.m. at night when you need to go to bed, but we still do it. You know that if you have a problem or like a little bit of beef with one of your classmates, one of your friends, you should probably address it. But how many of us actually do it? You know that you've been postponing your deadline for the past 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Now you've not got long left. You should probably start soon, but do you actually do it? Thankfully, this was something I picked up on in the very late stages of university. And the way I tackled this was almost adopting a mindset of like micro habits. Say there was a deadline I had coming up, rather than do the whole 2,000 word essay or 20 slide presentation in a night, I would literally set myself the goal, like, do half a slide today. Like, from the day you get the assignment, do half a slide. Then the next day, do half a slide. And then just spread that out over like a month, and eventually it's just done. Or if it's more like a personal issue, like talking to someone or, you know, like addressing an issue, I would set myself the goal, like, just simply bring up the topic you guys spoke about. Like, say you guys were talking about, I don't know, Halloween outfits, and then someone made a rude comment about you and your outfit and it upset you, and that's kind of where this has all come from. Just bring up the topic of Halloween outfits again. You don't have to do anything else. Like, literally micro steps, like baby steps. Don't try and go 0 to 100. Literally go 0 to 1. The moment you make them much smaller micro habits, you finally can do them and it becomes much easier to tackle. If you ever thought to yourself, oh, everyone else has things so easy, like why am I always working so much harder? Why am I always having to do like twice as much? Honestly, if you actually had a really proper sit down to think, you overworking might be a sign of you avoiding. I was journaling about this and kind of deep diving into it, asking myself a lot of questions, and I eventually put together all the different journal prompts, ideas, questions I asked myself into a little workbook for you guys. It's called Superhuman Habits. Essentially, if you've ever felt like, why don't things ever change? I keep doing the same thing over and over again. I keep having the same problem over and over again. Why am I feeling like I'm overworking but nothing's ever working out? It's probably because there's a deeper underlying root cause of what's causing this problem that keeps recurring. The Superhuman Habits workbook is designed to help you identify the core root issue. And I've sprinkled in some neuroscience and psychology to help you adopt much better habits, essentially superhuman habits, habits that stop you from avoiding all your problems, but instead start tackling them instead. The workbook is completely for free. It's in the link in my description box below. And if you've tried it or downloaded it already, let me know what you think in the comments below. And if not, be sure to download it and check it out. One thing that we don't avoid though in college or university is probably our hobbies. And thinking back on how good university was, I wish I actually did more hobbies, because now that I think about it, a hobby is an investment in your happiness. I tried netball one time and I remember I went to the netball practice. I was new, everyone else knew each other. I was the only one left out. In the first 5 minutes, they were like, get into pairs. And I was like, oh my God, like had a meltdown, because you know that moment when you don't know anyone, you have to pair up. And it's that fear and that anxiety that prevented me from doing so many hobbies. Like I think I wanted to go to like baking society. I didn't. I wanted to try netball, tried it once, then gave up. So many other things. Like I got invited to parties that I said no to. I got invited to club night I said no to. My fear of looking cringe and stupid stopped me from doing so much. And towards the end of university, when my confidence came back up and I found self-improvement, I did actually put myself out there more. But the truth is, when you graduate and you get your job and you're in the city, you're working, you're in your 9-to-5 era, your corporate era or whatever it is, you're going to look back at college. You're not going to think about all the studying. You're rarely going to think about the exams. You're going to sit back and think about the people and the activities and the events, and oh my God, do you remember that night? And oh my God, do you remember that concert? Oh my God, that show we did. Oh my God, that match that we won. Like you're going to think about all the experiences. And so the reason I'm saying a hobby is an investment in your happiness is because we all know you're going to university for your education, and that's like the most important thing technically. But emotionally, spiritually, like you're going to look back and think about the people. So definitely invest in that, invest in the people, invest in the experiences. In the era that we live in of LinkedIn and posting your successes, posting your wins, personal branding, I see everyone talking about that nowadays. My best advice for you, if you want your career to, go places, if you want people to mention your name, if you want to be in the right rooms, you need to have audacity. What I mean by that is you need to throw to the side all those little moments where you say, oh, but who am I to do that? I'm not qualified yet. I'm not good enough to put myself forward for this. That needs to go into the trash. If you want to have the dream career that you envision yourself doing, if you want to be in the right rooms in front of the right people, if you want people to see your work, if you want people to love your work, you need to have audacity. You need to stop saying, who am I to do this? And start saying, who's going to stop me doing this? The statistic I hate is knowing the fact that men will see a job advert, only qualify for 60% of the requirements and still apply for the job. Whereas a woman, on the other hand, will only apply if she meets 100% of the requirements. That boils my blood. Not because that's a wrong thing to do, or that, men shouldn't be applying, or that women should start applying for every job that they don't qualify for. It's just the fact that so many of us doubt ourselves and literally could have more, but don't feel qualified for more. The shift from being a student to an adult, you have to very quickly learn this is not the environment to feel like you have to ask for things, you have permission for things, you request things, you really do have to demand. I know that sounds extreme, but in the world of working and corporate and industries, you have to speak up. You have to have a voice. You have to advocate for yourself. You have to have audacity. This is not the environment of, let me be a good student, get 100% on all my exams, my professor will notice me, and then hopefully, the ball will roll. That does not happen in work. If you're lucky, maybe it does. Maybe you shining bright will get you noticed, but you have to have audacity. You have to feel unqualified and still put yourself forward. You have to feel not ready or prepared and still raise your hand. You have to only qualify for 60% of the requirement and still apply for the job. My mum says this in a funny way. She's like, Christina, you need to think like a man. Like, what would a man do? Like, would a man really doubt themselves and question and go back and forth and think, am I good enough? Am I this? Like, think like a man. You just need to have audacity. And even if you are still worried and you're still doubting yourself, but oh no, but I'm really, really not good enough though. Like, no, I actually really do need to get the master's. I really do need to get my PhD before I can do this. What I'll tell you is businesses don't really think the way that humans do. You might be thinking, if I was to be audacious and bold, speaking to another person, it might come across as like weird or harsh or like I'm too much. However, when you're doing it as from a person to a business, you're applying for a job, or you're reaching out to the recruitment manager, you're like asking for a referral. Person to business, a lot of the harshness isn't seen as harshness, it's just seen as like courageous. Whereas human to human, you know, that audacity sometimes is seen as harsh. Hopefully that makes sense. And you know, partly that is something I did recently. I mean, I've been loving the Mob app. Genuinely, I love using the app so much. And I thought I've spoken about it a couple of times already, mentioned it in my Instagram. Like, why don't I just reach out to the team and see if they have like a little code? Am I a cooking influencer? No. Do I make cooking videos? No. Am I qualified to talk about cooking? Not really, but I love the app. I was like, let me just have the audacity to ask. And they do. And now you guys are getting a discount on the app. And this discount is unique. Like, you won't see this discount anywhere else. The wealth of opportunities you will unlock for yourself is absolutely off the charts when you have audacity. Your life doesn't change because you were well behaved and you followed the rules. Your life will change when you request and demand it to, and when you no longer think, am I qualified? Am I good enough? You just decide that you are. You are already qualified, I promise. Speaking of self-improvement though, I do want to reiterate the fact that you need to know where self-improvement stops and self-criticism starts. I know I spoke about self-acceptance, and before you cringe and click off the video, self-acceptance can truly change your life, especially if you have like a little bit of a toxic inner critic, like a negative self-talk, negative voice in your head. I've made a whole entire video on self-acceptance. So if you're looking for something to watch next, it should definitely be this. If you made it this far into the video, comment down below a cherry emoji. Thank you for being part of the cherry gang. You made it all the way to the end. And if you're looking for something to watch next, it should definitely be this.